Excuse me, Miss Homer.
Ah, what do you want?
The outer door was ajar. I suppose someone forgot to close it?
My husband is Mr. Krogstad.
I know that.
What do you want here then?
A word with you.
You wanted to speak with me?
Yes, I do.
Today, it's not the first of the month yet.
No, it is Christmas Eve, and it depends on yourself how you will spend your Christmas Eve.
What do you want from me today? Today's absolutely impossible for me.
We won't talk about that till later on. This is something different. I presume you could give me a moment?
Yes, I can.
Good. I was down in Olson's restaurant, and I saw your husband walking down the street.
Yes?
With a lady.
What then?
May I make as bold as to ask if it was Mrs. Lind?
It was.
Just arrived in town?
Yes, today.
She is a great friend of yours, isn't she?
She is, but I don't see.
I knew her too once upon a time.
I am aware of that.
Ah. You know about it. I thought as much. Well, frankly, is Miss Linden to have an appointment in the bank?
How dare you criticize me in this way, Mr. Crawford? You question my husband? And be employed? And yes, it is I who recommended her, Mr. Crawford. Now you know.
My guess was right then.
You see, one has a wee of bit of influence after all. It doesn't follow because when only a woman, when people are questionable in a position, they ought to be really careful of who they offend. Anybody.
Who is influenced?
Exactly.
Miss Hummer will have you the kindness to employ you influence on my behalf.
What? How do you mean?
Will you be so good as to see that I retain my subordinate position in the bank?
What do you mean? Who's gonna take it from you?
All you need to pretend. Ignorance I can very well understand, that it cannot be pleasant for your friend to meet me, and I can also understand now for whose sake I am to be handed out.
But I assure you.
Come now. Once for all, there is time yet, and I advise you to use your influence to prevent it.
But Mr. Codsterd, I have no influence, absolutely none.
None? I thought you said a moment ago.
Of course not in that sense. How can you imagine that I should have any influence over my husband?
Oh, I know your husband from our college days. I don't think he is any more inflexible than other husbands.
How dare you talk so disrespectful about my husband? I must request you to leave my house.
You are so bold, madam.
I am afraid of you no longer. When it's New Year's, this day is over. I shall be out of this whole business.
Listen to me, Miss Homer. If need be, I shall fight as though to keep my tunnel at the bank.
Yes, it seems so.
It's not only for the salary that is what I care least about. It's something else, well, I had better make a clean breast of it. Of course, you know, like everyone else, that some years ago I got into trouble.
I think I've heard something of that sort.
The matter never came into court, but from that moment all paths were parted to me. My sons are growing up for their sake. I must try to recover my character as well as I can. This place in the bank was the first step. Now your husband wants to kick me off the ladder, back into the mirror.
I assure you, I haven't the just to least power to help you.
That's because you haven't.
You won't tell my husband that I owe you money.
Suppose I were to.
It would be shameful of you. The secret that is my joy and pride that he should learn from it in such an ugly, coarse way, and from you, it would involve me in all sorts of unpleasantness.
Only unpleasantness?
Just do it. It's you will come off the worst for my husband. You will see what a bad man you are, and then you will certainly won't keep your place.
I asked whether it was only domestic unpleasantness you feared.
If my husband gets to know about, he will of course pay you off at once. Then we shall have nothing more to do with you.
Listen, Miss Homer. Either your memory is defective or you don't know little clear to you.
How so?
When your husband was ill, you came to me to borrow $1,200.
I knew of nobody else.
I promised to find you the money.
And you did.
I promised to find you the money on certain conditions. You were so much taken up at the time about your husband's illness and so eager to have the wherewithal for your journey that you probably did not give much thought to the details. Allow me to remind you of them. I promised to find you the amount in exchange for a note in hand, which I drew up.
Yes, and I signed it.
Quite right. But then I added a few lines making your father security for the debt. Your father was to sign this.
He was to. He did sign it.
I had left the date blank. That is to say your father was himself to date his signature. Do you recollect that?
Yes, I believe.
Then I gave you the paper to send your father by post. Is that not so?
Yes.
And of course you did so at once for within 5 or 6 days. You brought me back the documentation with your father's signature and I handed you the money.
Well, have I not made my payments punctually?
Fairly, yes. But to return to this point, you were in great trouble at the time, Miss Homer.
I was indeed.
Your father was very ill, I believe.
He was on his deathbed.
And died soon after.
Yes.
Tell me, Miss Homer, do you happen to recollect the day of his death? The day of the month, I mean?
Father died on the 29th of September.
Quite correct. I have made inquiries. And here comes in the remarkable point.
What remarkable point? I don't know.
The remarkable point that your father signed?
What? I don't understand.
Your father died on the 29th of September. But look here. He has dated his signature October 2nd. Is that not remarkable, Miss Homer? Can you explain it? It is not worthy, too, that the words October 2nd and the year are not in your father's handwriting, but in one which I believe I know. While this may be explained, your father may have forgotten to date his signature before the fact of your father's death was known. Their signature, of course, is genuine, Miss Homer. It was really your father's himself who wrote his name here.
No, it was not.
Are you aware that this is a dangerous admission?
How so? You will get your money.
May I ask you one more question? Why did you not send the paper to your father?
It was impossible. Father was ill, and if I asked him for his signature, I should have told him why I wanted money. But he was so ill, I could not tell him that my husband's life was in danger.
Then it would have been better to give up on your tour.
No, I couldn't do that. My husband's life depended on that journey. I couldn't have given up.
And did it ever occur to you that you were playing me false?
That was nothing to me. I didn't care in the least about you. I couldn't insure you for all those cruel difficulties you made me go through. You knew how ill my husband was.
Miss Homer, you evidently do not realize what you have been guilty of. But I can assure you it was nothing more and nothing worse that made me an outcast from society.
Then it must have been a very bad law.
Bad or not, if I produce this document in court, you will be condemned according to law.
Oh, nonsense. He just wants to frighten me. I'm not that foolish.
And
Dine? What? Can you make bloopers? I want it to be funny now at the end. Manny, I can see the lens going bigger and bigger because you're freaking zooming on my face. Are you done? Manny, I can see with me. Go to the nurse. No, the strange man won't do. You wanted to speak with me?
Good. I was in Olsen's restaurant and I saw your husband.
What then?
Are you? So you know all about it. I guess I can ask you without beating around the bush. It's my sister. Whoa.
Honey, I'm going. Yes.
Oh, tell Miss Helmer. Oh, tell me.
What? I don't understand. How so? You will. How's that Mario theme song go? Come on, Nanny, we're almost finished. Father. Oh, sorry, my bad. I don't believe that. Do you mean to tell? I don't believe that. Do you mean to tell me that I don't believe that. Do you mean to tell me that a dying?
Possibly. But business, such business as ours.
Okay, stop. Manny!